Hello everyone. Let's look at shlokas 120 and 121 in Lalita Sahasranamam. hṛdayasthā raviprakhyā trikoṇāntara dīpikā dākśhāyaṇī daityahantrī dakśhayaGYa vināśinī darāndoḻita dīrghākśhī darahāsojjvalanmukhī gurumūrtir guṇanidhir gomātā guhajanmabhūḥ. So let's look at the meaning. hṛdayasthā raviprakhyā. hṛdayasthā means hṛdayam is the heart, stha means residing. Residing in the heart. Raviprakhyā. So Ravi means the sun. So Prakhya means like. So she is like the sun in the heart. So this is at the Anahata chakra. So she is illuminating like the sun. So if you look at the Kundalini, as it comes from the Mooladhara chakra, the heart is the first place where it is beyond the identity being severed after the Vishnu Granthi is severed. So at that time, it is illuminating the compassion and love in the heart. So the sun is illuminating that. So in the heart, she is like the sun. Trikoṇāntara dīpikā. Trikoṇam means a triangle. Antara means inside. Dīpikā means a light or a deepam. You can think of it as a deepam. So trikoṇāntara dīpikā. So what is that triangle? The Mooladhara chakra is signified through a triangle. So in the triangle, she is like a fire. So the Mooladhara chakra, if you see, it is the inverted triangle, if you will. So in that, it says from the top, when the life enters, this broad consciousness, the expanded consciousness is condensing and it is becoming pointed in the Kundalini. And then if you think about the awareness improving, the Kundalini raising, that pointed consciousness, now the awareness is expanding. So that's why it's shown as an inverted triangle. So she is a fire in that inverted triangle. Dakśhayaṇī. Dakśhayaṇī is one who is the daughter of Daksha. So Daksha is one of the Prajapatis and he is considered as the son of Brahma. So Brahma created all these Prajapatis so that the creation can propagate. So the Prajapati's job is to have lots of children and help the universe move forward. So that's why they are called as Prajapati, means leaders of people. So Daksha is one of the Prajapatis, a very powerful one, and Dakśhayaṇī, this goddess Parvati, Uma, she was born as a daughter for Daksha. And Daksha actually had 60 daughters and 27 of them married the moon. And that's why we have 27 nakshatras. So Dakśhayaṇī is the youngest of them all and she was a daddy's little princess. So she is the daughter of Daksha and therefore she is called as Dakśhayaṇī. Also, it is said that there are certain fire rituals or yajnas that are done on Amavasya and Paurnami. It is called as Darsham and Purnamasam. So these are two yajnas that are done on those days and it is done in every season. When it is continuously done, that kind of ritual or yajna is called as dakshayaṇa yajna, and she is one who is in that form of dakshayana yajna. So therefore she is also called as Dakśhayaṇī. Daityahantrī. Daitya means demonic qualities or demons. So there are Danavas and Daityas and both of them are demons. They're all sons of Kashyapa and they were born for his wife Diti and Danu. And Devas are also born to Kashyapa, but they are Aditi's kids. So they're all sisters. So Daityahantri, she is one who destroys demons. Actually, we cannot just interpret that as she destroys demons. There are also good people in the demon clan. If you see Prahlada and all was such a Bhaktiman. So we have to interpret this Nama as she destroys demonic qualities. So if we have, and what are demonic qualities? Being jealous of other people, torturing other people, those are all, or pride, those are also demonic qualities and she destroys that. So if you look at the life of Dakśhayaṇī herself, If you see, Dakśhāyaṇī was wanting to marry Shiva. That was her only goal. But Daksha, being the Prajapati, is also a very powerful Prajapati. He was not very interested in Dakśhāyaṇī marrying Shiva. There are different variations. In some, it says that he went ahead and arranged a Swayamvara for Dakśhāyaṇī, and in that he called everybody, but he did not invite Shiva. And Dakśhāyaṇī came with the garland, and she looked through the entire hall and she didn't find Shiva. She didn't want to marry anybody else, and therefore it said that she threw the garland, and then Shiva came there, and then the garland fell on Shiva. And it is said that that's how it happened. And so Shiva and Dakśhāyaṇī got married. In other cases, it's said that he didn't like for Dakśhāyaṇī to marry Shiva, but then he thought about it. Already he is Brahma's son, right? Prajapati Daksha is Brahma's son. If he is Brahma's son, automatically Vishnu becomes his grandfather, because Brahma came from Vishnu, from his Nabi. So he is connected to two of the three Trimurtis. And then he thought, if Dakśhāyaṇī marries Shiva, then Shiva will become his son-in-law. Therefore, he will be connected to all three, and therefore he will become more powerful. So he calculated like that. And even though he was not very impressed with Shiva, because Shiva doesn't have a great pedigree, and he doesn't have all this, he doesn't wear all the gold and is all well clad and all that. He is, clad in tiger skin, and he has a snake and skulls around him, etc. So he didn't think highly of him. But he went ahead and allowed his daughter to marry Shiva, because then he can be related to all the three Trimurtis, and therefore his position will improve. So it is said that he allowed for it. So if you see, the reason for him allowing his daughter to marry is to improve his position, to enhance. So you can see the pride that is there in that. And she is one, even though it is her own father, she ensured that that pride was completely destroyed. So daityahantrī, dakshayaGYa vināśinī. So what did that pride do? Daksha is again Daksha, Yajñam means ritual, vināśinī means destroyed. She destroyed the ritual that Daksha was performing. So what is that ritual that Daksha performed? So once what happened after the marriage between Shiva and Dakśhāyaṇī happened, Brahma actually arranged for a big yajna. So that was done for the world well-being. So the Brahma arranged for it, and obviously if Brahma arranged, he invited everybody. And if you see in all of this, there is a portion that is out of the yajna, it's called as havirbaham, that is given, and Shiva gets a portion of that. So he is one of the people who gets that main thing. And therefore he blesses everybody. So Shiva is honored in all of this, and that is the way the Vedas are written. So that time when the yajna was organized, everybody had assembled, and Daksha happened to come at the end. So when Daksha came into the yajna hall, everybody got up. Brahma was still seated. Daksha did not expect Brahma to get up, because Brahma is his father. So he didn't expect that father should get up when the sun comes. But Shiva there was the person who's the chief guest, if you will. So he has a havirbaham, and that particular yajna becomes complete only when it is offered to Shiva. So Shiva was the chief guest there, and Shiva also did not get up. But Daksha got very upset with that. Daksha thought, you know what, he is my son-in-law. That means he is one step below me. Then he should have gotten up and showed his respect towards me. In such a big hall, when I entered, everybody stood up. This Shiva alone did not stand up. And then he thought about it and thought, oh, he thinks too much of himself because he gets a havirbaham. In every ritual, they give a portion to Shiva. He's honored, and that's why he thinks too much of himself, and therefore he's not giving me respect. And so Shiva, Daksha thought, here afterwards we should not give any havirbaham to Shiva. That will teach him a lesson. And he went ahead. He's a Prajapati. He's the leader of all the people. So he thought, you know what, let me go ahead and do a ritual like this yajna, and then not give havirbaha to Shiva, and then show everybody how that is done. So then he went ahead. He also organized a big yajna, and he purposely did not invite Shiva. He decided he won't give any havirbaham. So everybody had assembled there, And then there were some priests, Brihaspati and everybody were there. And then they realized that he was not going to give the Havirbaham. A fight broke out. They all said, you cannot do this. The Vedas are the Vedas. The way the ritual is written, that's exactly how you have to do. Just because you have a personal vengeance and all, you can't go change the process. This is the process. So the person who he invited to lead that did not do. In the meantime, Dakshayani got to know that her father was arranging this thing. And she realized he had invited everybody. He didn't invite Shiva and Dakshayani. And we all know, when a married girl is there, any function in the mother's place, they will invite both the daughter and the son-in-law. And in fact, they're treated very well. And she was the daddy's little princess. So she was really surprised, and she thought, I should go talk to my dad and make him see the error of his ways. He should, even if he doesn't consider Shiva, he's the son-in-law. How can he disrespect my husband? So she decided, and she went and she told Shiva, hey, I want to go to my father's yajna. Shiva said, look, Dakshayani, he didn't invite us. It is okay. It is not a good idea to go to the place where we are not invited. Let him do whatever he wants. You leave it. You please stay here. But Dakshayani would have none of that. She said, no, I have to absolutely go. Shiva said, see, this is not a good idea. Don't go. But she wasn't taking it. And Shiva, just like normal, he shut down. He wasn't saying anything. She kept on saying, I want to go to my parents' house. He didn't say anything. He kept quiet. And then Dakshayani got really mad, and she is the avatar of Adiparashakti, right? And so she took several different forms. It's called as Dasa Mahavidyas, and each form became increasingly scary, and to a point where Shiva himself was scared. And then he said, Amma, you go to your father's place. So she fought so much, and she said, I'll go make my father see the error of his ways. And then she went to the place where the yajna was conducted. And to her complete shock, her father simply did not even acknowledge her. Her mother saw, and mother invited. The sisters, some of them spoke to her, but nobody acknowledged. And then she was waiting. She thought her father will look at, but he was completely ignoring, and she felt very insulted. She's coming to her house after the marriage for the first time, and this is how he treats. So she couldn't put up with it. So she went and she asked him. And he said, you know what? You married him against my wish. You already brought ill reputation to me. Don't even talk about it. And then she got very mad, and she said, I'm not talking to you as your daughter. I am Shiva's wife, and he has a Havirbaham. How can you do this? And then he started to berate Shiva. Daksha started to berate Dakshayani and all that. And Dakshayani was so mad that she was so angry, and she jumped into that Homakundam and immolated herself. And when that news reached Shiva, he completely threw a tantrum. He did a Rudra Tandavam, and then he sent all his ganas there, and then with that, completely the whole thing was destroyed. And therefore, she was the reason for Daksha's yajna to be destroyed. And you can see here, right? She is the one who had so much compassion, and she was born as his daughter, right? So she had that compassion. But the same Daksha, when he was overcome by pride and he was doing things out of arrogance, the same goddess did not even hesitate to go and stop that. So that is like a parent, right? When we do something right, she gives us everything. When we do something wrong, she also corrects that. So this is the story of Dakshayani, and we all know after Dakshayani died, she's also called as Sati. Then Shiva took her on his shoulders, and then he was roaming around, and then Vishnu with the Sudarshana Chakra actually cut it, and then that fell in many places, and today that's what we call as Shakti Peetam. So wherever it fell, her body parts fell, and there are so many Shakti Peetams. Darāndoḻita dīrghākśhī. Dara andolita dirgha akshi. So dirgham means long, akshi means eyes. So dara andolita. Dara means a little. So dara andolita means moving. So her eyes are moving a little. Her long eyes are moving gently. So it said that she has eyes that start from the bridge of the nose all the way up to the ears. That's how long her eyes are. And in that, the eyeballs are constantly moving, gently moving. Why? Because she's constantly scanning for who needs help. And wherever her kataksham goes, there are so many koti Lakshmis there. Wherever her kataksham goes, there is also all the well-being that is to be had. There is jnanam that is to be had. And therefore, she makes sure that everybody gets it equally, so she is gently scanning. So, darāndoḻita dīrghākśhī, she has eyes that are very long and that are constantly moving. And darāndoḻita, gently, it's not moving vigorously, it's moving gently. So, she is scanning. The other way to look at it is daram also means fear. So, her dīrghākśhī, her long eyes, when they look at the devotee, it is capable of darāndoḻita. Andoļita, now you can think of it as shaking. So, dara means fear. So, when she looks at us, she completely shakes out all the fear. And we saw this already with Kalinga Nardana. The grace of God is to remove your fear and make sure we are permanently happy. So, darāndoḻita dīrghākśhī means that the one glance from her long eyes will ensure that any fear we have completely vanishes. darahāsojjvalanmukhī. Dara again is small and hasam means smile. So, the small smile or gentle, so it is not laughter. Hasam could be laughter. Darahāsam means smile. In Tamil it's called as punnagai. So, darahāsojjvalanmukhī. Ujjvalam means brightening. Mukhi means face. So, the gentle smile is just brightening up her face. And so, these are all the bhavanas with which we pray to goddess. Like in the head, she is like the full moon, and in the heart, she is like the sun, and she has this long eyes. So, this is the way in which we can assume about Devi, the bhavana, and then pray about to her. So, darahāsojjvalanmukhī. So, her smile is lighting up the entire face. Gurumūrtir. So, she is the embodiment of Guru. Guru means teacher. Right? So, there are many teachers, right? There is someone who imparts knowledge, someone who provides information, someone who teaches skills. But Guru is the one who leads you towards wisdom, right? Gu means darkness. Ru means removing. So, andhakara nirodhakaha. That's who is a Guru. So, that's what the Upanishads say. A Guru is someone who removes the ignorance, which is considered to be darkness, and moves us towards wisdom. So, Guru is someone who gives us complete wisdom, the ultimate wisdom. So, she is the form of Guru. guṇanidhir. Gunam means all the good qualities. Nidhi means treasure house or treasure. So, she is the treasure house of all good qualities. So, there are several good qualities. Everything she is the source of. And then you can also think about it, for the world to operate, there are three gunas, right? Rajas, tamas and sattvika. So, everything is a combination of those gunas. She is also the source of all of those gunas. And then in another way, gunam can also be thought of as a rope. Guna in Sanskrit also means rope. And nidhi means stored in. You can think of it as stored in. So, this also has references to the Matsyavatara. So, in Matsyavatara, you know how the Vishnu came as a small fish, and the Manu took the small fish, and the fish said, please save me, put me in a tank. So, first he put in a jar, then the fish grew up to the jar, then he put in a tank, the fish grew up to the tank, and finally the fish kept growing and growing and growing. Finally, it lived back into the sea. At that time, the fish said, in 7 days there is going to be a big deluge. So, you can get 2 of each species, and then I'll send you a ship, and you put everything in the ship, and then I will come and save you. So, at that time, Vishnu came as a big shark, and then he was pulling that ship. And in order to pull that ship, there was a rope that had to be strong enough. And it is said that Adiparashakti Mahamaya, she was the rope itself, and that had the strength, and that's how he was able to pull it along. So she is the rope that was used to pull that. It is called as vatirika. So she was that rope. So guṇanidhir can also be thought of it that way. Gomātā. Go means cow, and Mata means mother of all the cows. You can think of it as Kamadhenu, and Kamadhenu is one who gives all the wishes. So you can think of it as one who gives all the wishes. On the other hand, you can also think about it, Gomātā, mother of all cows. The cows are actually very selfless, right? They give everything about the cow is useful for other people. So they don't hold anything back. They're always giving to other people. And it is said that generally for a cow, even if it eats something that's poisonous, apparently it will never translate into the milk. So it will hold it back. So the milk that comes out of the cow will always be fit for drinking. So like that, the cow is even at the expense of its own, it will always do good for others. So generally, this is why we all worship cow. Cow is always giving, selfless. Like that, she is so generous. She is always giving for us, and she wants to always see us be well. Guhajanmabhūḥ. So Guha, one way you can look at it is Subramanya, Muruga. So Guhajanmabhūḥ. So Janma means birth, Bhuhu means the cause or happening. So she is the reason for the birth of Muruga. That is one way to look at it. So she became the reason for the birth of Muruga. That is one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is Guha also means a cave. So something that is concealed. And Guhajanmaha means all the human beings, because the fundamental knowledge about Maya is concealed. Because of Maya, people are ignorant. There is no realization of the fact that every single form, the manifest form, is nothing but the ultimate reality. That knowledge is concealed, which is all of us. And she is the reason for that. This entire Tirodhanam is her Leela. And therefore, she is the reason for all these ignorance, or she is the reason for the Maya. So we can think of it that way. So if you can look at it in the whole thing, there is another way to look at it. It starts from the Sati, and then it goes all the way up to Kumara Sambhavam. You can think of it that way. So daksḥayaṇī, daityahantrī, dakshayaGYa vināśinī. And so from there, Sati was killed, and then darāndoḻita dīrghākśhī. Uma was born, Parvati was born, and she was this beautiful woman who had a beautiful eyes and amazing smile, and she was in front of gurumūrtir. So she was in a guru, you can also think of as Shiva. So Shiva is considered as dakshayaṇī. He is the first guru, teacher. So she was in front of Shiva, and then guṇanidhir. So they were able to know Shiva, who is the complete embodiment of all the gunas. So that is called as Navavyuham, and everything is belonging to Shiva. And then with that they were married, and then with that then she became the wife of Shiva, and from there Subramanya was born. So you can also look at it that way. So we've covered the meanings of all the namas. So let's look at a story related to the nama gurumūrtir. So we said gurumūrtir means she is in the form of guru. So if you all take Mukha Panchashati, in that Mukhacharya says, Kundali Kumari Kutile Chandi Charachara Savitri Chamunde Gunini Guharini Guhye Gurumūrtye Tvam Namami Kamakshi. So he says Kamakshi is the Gurumūrti. Gurumūrtye Tvam Namami Kamakshi. So Kamakshi is the Gurumūrti. So how did Kamakshi become Gurumūrti? What is the story behind it? Actually, in the Kenopanishad, we get a story where it tells about how Parvati as Haimavati gave Brahma Jnana for the Devas. So let's look at that story, and it comes in a Upanishad called Kenopanishad. Kena means from whom, by whom, etc. It's a question. And this entire Upanishad is in the form of a guru and disciple talking, and it is questioning how everything started, from whom everything started. So it is trying to talk about the Parabrahman. So there is a beautiful story that explains how she became the person who gave Brahmajnanam. So once there was a fierce fight between Devas and Asuras, and in this particular fight the Asuras were thrashed. Devas won decisively, and usually if you see, what will happen is the Devas and Asuras will fight. Devas will not have enough power, they will run to somebody, either Brahma will help or Vishnu will help or Shiva will help, and that's how they will always win the war. But for a change this time, the Devas won. And so this made Devas extremely happy, but it also made them extremely proud. So they went ahead and had a success party. So there is Indra, there is Agni, there is Vayu, and these are all the chief people, they're the MVPs, who made this happen. And everybody is toasting, they're all celebrating. Initially, what was a nice celebration slowly turned into something that was a announcement of their pride. They all said, nobody helped us. We are the only reason why everything happened. And so they started becoming more and more, prouder and prouder, and the words all started coming like that. So at that time, the Parabrahman was listening to it and was a bit upset that the Devas are becoming very arrogant. They are thinking that they are the reason why everything happened. So he wanted to make sure that he teaches them a lesson, and therefore the Parabrahman showed up as a yaksha, which is a big pillar of light. And so the pillar of light is somewhere close to the place where all the devas are celebrating. So then all the devas noticed the sudden pillar of light showing up. And you can imagine, they've just come from a war, and war means they've always been thinking about what the enemies will do, etc. And they've decisively won, but they don't know what this thing is. Nobody has seen a light like this. So they are a bit worried. What is this suddenly showing up? So we have to investigate. So immediately Indra called Agni and said, Agni, can you please go find out what this is? So Agni decided that he will go there, and he looked at it and he said, who are you? He went to the light and said, who are you? And this pillar of light completely ignored his question, turned around and asked, who are you? And then Agni was a bit shocked. Agni is actually very popular, and he's also called as Jataveda, and in all the rituals he has a very important place. So many people know Agni. I was a bit surprised, why is this person asking me? And then he said, no, I am Agni. And the light, the yaksha, asked, what is your power? What is your capability? Agni said, there is nothing that will slip me. I can burn anything. So anything I touch will get burnt. And so the light said, oh, is that so? Then let me throw this blade of grass. It's called as kucha. And so put this and try to burn it. And then Agni tried to burn that. No matter how hard he tried, he could not burn that piece of grass. And so Agni completely was shocked. There is nothing in this entire universe which the fire cannot burn. So he was really shocked, and he forgot that he came to find out what this thing is. So he didn't ask anything, and he went back and he told Indra, I don't know what this is, I couldn't find out. So then Indra said, no matter, let's send Vayu. So the Vayu went, and then Vayu asked, who are you? And then the light again asked, who are you? Oh, I said, I am Vayu. And he said, what is your capability? Vayu said, I can blow anything away. So there is nothing that will miss me. And then same test, the yaksha said, here is a blade of grass, why don't you blow that? And then the Vayu tried to blow. How hard Vayu may try, they could not blow that. It didn't even move an inch. So then Vayu also was completely defeated, and therefore Vayu didn't say anything, and then he went back. And then now Indra was getting very concerned. He sent two people, and both of them could not find out what it is. So now he really had to find out what this is. So then Indra said, you know what, no need to send anybody, I myself will go and find out. As soon as Indra came, that entire light just completely disappeared. And so now Indra was completely shocked. He said, I have to investigate what this is. So Indra sat down and started to pray. And when he started to pray, then Uma, Parvati as Haimavati, appeared in front of him. And then she was such a full of grace, and he was compassionate and all that. So immediately he bowed down to her and he said, Amma, please tell me, what is this light? Why did it come? What happened? What should we know about it? And then at that point, Uma told them, Parvati, Haimavati, she told them that that light that appeared was the Parabrahman. And you were all getting very arrogant and thinking that you were the reason why you won the war. But there is nothing in this world that happens without the Parabrahman. In every single act, the Parabrahman is the one that is making things happen. So there is no will or outcome that is not a part of the Parabrahman. So Indra got this understanding, and then he immediately thanked her, and then he went back and he taught all this knowledge to all the devatas. So this is why Indra is celebrated in many of the rituals, because he was the first to get the Brahmajnanam, and he got it from Uma herself. And then all the devas are also celebrated because they have this Brahmajnanam, they got to know about it. And if you look at this entire story, so then in the in the entire story, if you look at it, it is actually very symbolic. So if you look at this Parabrahman, we have already said the Parabrahman is incomparable, undescribable. And the Agni and Vayu actually represent our sense organs. So Agni represents vision, and you can see Vayu can represent touch or it can represent sound. Either way, the Parabrahman, the ultimate reality, is not something that anybody can understand through their sense organs. By seeing, but by hearing, by touching, you cannot understand that. Indra actually represents the mind. So when the mind is channeled and it is in a focused meditation, at that time the Brahmajnanam becomes available. So that is the whole focus here, and that is what this whole story is trying to say, that Brahmajnanam is not something that you attain through your sense organs. For that you need a single-minded focus and meditation that is possible. And if you see, even for the mind, as soon as you approached it, it went away, right? So the mind also cannot approach it immediately, right? It just vanished. So it is like the lightning, right? So the Brahmajnanam is like a lightning where you can't miss it, but you can't see it too. So it is like that. So only with the focused attention controlling all our senses, that is possible to see. So the Uma represents the Brahmajnanam, the Guru who gave the Brahmajnanam to the Devas. So this is a very important story within the Kena Upanishad. And with that, the disciple then asks, what is Brahma? Parabrahmam, explain to me. And then the teacher says that I've told you all the secrets. Austerity. Austerity means a simple life that is in prayer, self-control, and doing your duty without attachment is the body of the Brahmajnanam. So if you want to attain Brahmajnanam, then you have to follow austerity, living a simple life and one that is filled with prayer, having self-control, and doing your duty without any attachment. And when I say doing your duty without any attachment, immediately one person would have come to all our mind, who is none other than Krishna. This is the same thing that Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So all this is there in the Upanishads, etc. In Bhagavad Gita, he's condensed it within 700 or so shlokas. He's given us the complete wisdom, where in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Sthita Prajna, to be able to not react to whatever is happening outside, to be able to have control of your senses, to do your duty. And this is why he says, Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhur ma te sango asatva karmani. So ma te sangostva akarmani. So what it means is that do your duty without expecting the results, and don't think that you are the reason for the results. And in this story we have seen all the results are coming only because of Parabrahman. Every single thing, there is no sense of doership. Everything is done by the Parabrahman. And he says, just because you're not the sole reason of the results. We can take the action, but we cannot decide what consequences it will have. But just because you don't own the consequences or the results of the action, don't become attached to inaction. That means do what you have to do, leave the results to the Parabrahman, and whatever comes, accept it with equanimity. So this is what Bhagavad Gita tells everybody. And if you see, Krishna not just said all this in Bhagavad Gita, but if you take the entire life of Krishna, he has actually shown that through also living like that. So if you look at Krishna, he was, even before he was born, there was somebody waiting with an axe to kill him, right? Kamsa was waiting. And he was born in the middle of the night, and just as soon as he was born, the newborn baby had to be carried through pouring rain and walk through the river, and then be left with someone else, right? No, not anybody related. Even there, thankfully, they raised him like their own. But then just a newborn baby was getting into so much trouble. There was all the Bhutaki and all the other Rakshasas sent, and then they thought this place is not good, and then they went to Vrindavan. There also he had to go through everything, and he had some fun with his friends, but by the time he was 10 years old, he had to go kill Kamsa. He killed Kamsa, and then he had to now deal with the whole kingdom, running the kingdom. Until then, he was in a cowherd clan. He hadn't even studied, and now the whole kingdom is his responsibility. So he had to go learn everything. What other people take 8 years to learn, he had to learn within 2 years. And then even after that, he had so many asuras to go and kill Narakasura, etc. He killed Narakasura, and then Narakasura had this huge harem, 16,000 people in there, and they all asked, Krishna, if we go out, nobody will treat us with respect. Now what to do for us? And he said, no, you will all be treated like my wife, and therefore people treat you respectfully. But for that good act, everybody turns around and says, Krishna has lots of girlfriends, right? So then he went to help his aunt's sons, and that entire Mahabharata Yuddham happened, and Gandhari did not think about all the bad things her sons did, but she looked at Krishna and she said, you could have stopped this whole war, and you did not stop, and it was because of you the entire war happened. And then she gave him a curse and said, your clan will also suffer the same. So if you see, with the entire life of Krishna, it's been a very, very hard thing. Nothing has been in his control, and he's been doing what he needs to do at all points. Yet, if we think about Krishna, what is the first thing that will come to our mind? Krishna, when you think about him, we'll think about Krishna Leela, or it will be a young Krishna who's with all the gopikas playing the flute, dancing around. It will be a complete picture of peace. How is that possible for someone whose life is like that, and he had this level of happiness and peace? Compared to Krishna's life, nobody's life is that tumultuous. So how is that possible? That is possible because he did his duty at all points. No matter what was happening, without any attachment, he did his duty, right? And if at any point he did not lose his self-control, he did not react to anybody saying anything there. And so he did what needed to be done in every single instance. And this is why we celebrate Krishna. We celebrate Rama and Krishna. It was not because their life was great. In spite of the adversity, they maintained and remained true to who they are. And that's why they are the people we celebrate. And Krishna, and through Bhagavad Gita, has imparted the wisdom that is needed for every single human being. The Bhagavad Gita mainly tells us how to maintain your inner peace, remain steady no matter what is happening in your life. And that's why the context itself is a Yuddha Kalam. So the Yuddha Kalam, he's telling Arjuna how to manage. And Arjuna, at the time, he couldn't deal with the stress. He said, I'll leave all this and I'll become a sannyasi and go away. But when we live in this world, we cannot escape from everything that's happening. And in the Bhagavad Gita, he tells us how to stay in this and still maintain your inner peace. And this is why we call Krishna as Jagat Guru. And so as a gurumūrtir, if you think about it, Krishna is the Jagat Guru. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanūramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. That's all for today.